Blessings and peace to you. This is SB Favor Thinking Podcast, and my name is SB Favor. How are you doing today? It is Monday, August 22nd, 2022. Another wonderful day and another day to be thankful. And as I always say, if you focus on what is good, then you can project something good to happen. So make sure you are focusing on the things that give you joy and peace. Focus on what is good, because it does not benefit you at all to focus on the negative things. So focus on what is good. If you are out there traveling about, make sure you are wearing your mask when you need to, and make sure you protect yourself, because there's a lot going on. So please do your part to stay safe and keep your family members safe. I always remind you of this because I care. So please keep yourself safe and your family members safe. If you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $ SB Favor. I thank you so much for your kindness and your support and your donations. So please, once again, if you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $ SB Favor, and thank you so much. Well, my co-host for this episode is Rebecca Barreto. She hasn't been with me for a while, but she is here for this episode, and we are going to talk about self-control, emotional management. Many of us, we need to have more temperance. We need to have the type of self-control that helps us to just be more calm. The type of self-control that helps us to just move smoothly, so to speak, because self-control is beneficial. So that's what we're going to talk about on this episode. I hope that everything we state during this episode, I hope that inspires you. I hope that it gives you something to think about. Hello, Rebecca. How you doing?
Hello, SB Favor. How are you? I am doing awesome.
Well,
so happy to be here.
Yeah, you've been gone for a long time.
I've been gone. I know.
Yeah.
I know. But I've been listening. I've been listening to all of your episodes.
Great.
And to you, and listening to Jackie and your other guests. And I have to say, you're just fantastic, and I'm telling you, it's getting better and better. So I'm just so happy to be here.
I appreciate your support, and your encouragement is always appreciated as well. So thank you so much. But we're going to talk about self-control, emotional management. I wanted to talk about this topic because, temperance is everything. Having self-control of our tongue, having self-control of our emotions, just having self-control, it can eliminate a lot of things, because sometimes some of us, we say the wrong things, we think the wrong things, and sometimes we just have trifling actions. What you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
We're all guilty of it.
We're all guilty of it. And so emotional management has to do with understanding how you feel in the moment to take control, so that you can appropriate what is necessary and not do something that is unnecessary. Emotional management. Because your feelings can sometimes drive you to do something that's not even needed. And so to understand how you feel in the moment is very key to manage how you feel. What'd you say?
Absolutely, because we have to understand that emotions are our state of mind, right?
Yes.
And you just said that.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever strong feelings we are having
mm-hmm.
at that moment, right? I think that we're going to react.
Yes.
We're going to react. And the question is, how are we going to react? Are we going to react in a positive way, or are we going to react in a negative way?
Mm-hmm.
And where does this begin? This begins in our mind, right?
Yes, it does.
It's a thought. It's a thought that comes into our mind
mm-hmm.
that therefore begins to manifest in our emotions and our feelings.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you said self-control.
Yes.
How do we utilize self-control? What are some of the things? And in order to get to that step,
mm-hmm.
you have to acknowledge, I believe, those thoughts, those emotions. We have to acknowledge them, process them for a moment before we begin to react, open our mouth, or even show something with a facial expression. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that a lot of times, people are not honest. You said be honest, right? And being honest is taking inventory and evaluating yourself, not the other person you're having a conflict with. Evaluate what you were thinking, evaluate what you are feeling in that moment. I had an incident a couple of days ago where I almost said the wrong thing, because I always ask God to help me to be slow to speak. Because when you are slow to speak, what happens is you have what I call a pause moment. And in that pause moment, you get to think about what you really want to say. You get to think, is this really necessary or is this hurtful? You get to think about it. So as you stated, Rebecca, thoughts play a big role in our emotions, because if you think about something long enough, then you start to feel it, right?
Yes.
Sometimes when a person becomes angry, the thoughts are the first place it starts. It's the thought of being angry. And then the thoughts have to match the feeling, and then there's a manifestation of action.
That's correct.
So,
absolutely.
So it's the thoughts, then it's the feelings, and then it's the actions. So think about that. It's three parts to it. So imagine if more of us took more control over what we thought. If we take more control over how we think, then I believe, and it's just my opinion, based upon my life experience, I believe that then we can manage our emotions better. In times past, when I have gone through emotional, be honest, I'm going to keep it real here. If I've gone through a romantic breakup with someone, if I'm going through a romantic breakup, someone I was really close to, and okay, all of a sudden now we're distant. We're not as close as we used to be. In that moment, I had to tell myself, okay, now I got to think differently about this person. I'm not going to think bad about that person, but I got to think differently. So when I start to think differently, it means I have to start thinking about my healing and my transformation. Because if I start thinking about, oh, they did this to me, oh, the way they treated me, oh, if I start thinking like that, then that's going to be a manifestation of feelings, and then those feelings will become an action. So my transformation came from, okay, me and this person, we are distant now. We're not the way we used to be. So now I have to heal from the relationship. I have to heal from the breakup. So what did I do? I started thinking differently about the person. I started thinking differently about myself. So by thinking differently, meaning thinking thoughts of healing, I started manifesting feelings of being more happy, feelings of being on a new path, a new journey, a new chapter in my life. I started thinking like that. But like I said a minute ago, if I start thinking about, oh yeah, they did this to me. Yeah, remember they cheated on me. Or if I start, not that happened in some cases, but I'm just saying, if we're not thinking right, then what happens is, if we're thinking wrong, it starts breeding the wrong feelings. And then feelings become actions. What you say, Rebecca?
Well, that's right. Because what happens is now here comes an influence. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now these feelings and these thoughts, okay, these, this begins to influence our behavior. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like you just said that for an example, for that person that maybe had that breakup. Mm-hmm. and they're hurt and they feel incomplete and they feel angry and they feel frustrated. Okay, we all have gone through that, but guess what? We still have to wake up in the morning. We still have to go to work. We still have to respond to our family. We still have to love ourselves.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
We have to still go through our life, and I'm learning this actually. And my pastor actually has been bringing this up in messages on Sundays and on Tuesdays. And one of the things that I love how he said was, when you have these emotions and these thoughts, right? Well, you accept them, right? Okay, I'm having this thought, I'm having this feeling.
Yes.
But I cannot allow them to hold me hostage. Hold me hostage in the sense where that's all that is coming in and coming out all day of my mind and my thoughts and my feelings. Because then what happens is you're kind of in a position of where you're stuck. You can't move forward, right? And these emotions also are connected to our soul.
Yes.
Our soul.
Very
right?
much.
So when you're hurt in a relationship that has parted ways, since that's the example we're using.
Yes.
You're hurt. Your soul, your inner man.
Right.
You're hurt. And then what happens is we start to begin to have other emotions that fester from maybe 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
Or 10 years ago. Or 20 years ago.
Yes.
Right? And those are signs that, there's still some areas where we have not healed, where we have not been able to grow. And at that time, sometimes we feel like at that moment, some people have just like a one-train thought where it's hard for them to get past to what you're talking about right now, to what your topic is right now. Because at that moment, we're thinking, well, this is hurting me. And I'm angry right now. And sometimes we feel like, and I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't be hurt.
Right.
I shouldn't have been offended. Why did this happen? And how can I heal from this? How can I move on? And I have to say, is not only are you talking to yourself and you're speaking to yourself in a positive way, but when you're at that moment where you're absolutely frustrated that you are about to either commit a crime, hurt somebody, break something, because let's be real now. Some people tempers, take a minute and you could even communicate with God and say, God, I don't know how to handle these emotions that I'm feeling, but I'm accepting them. Can you help me not to take them any further? And the reason why I say that is because, believe it or not, God is interested in us being healthy emotionally and spiritually.
Absolutely. We have to, like you said, we have to be honest and we have to understand what's happening in the moment. I'm going to give out a few tips so that you can at least identify with these tips to know what to do when you feel emotions that are not needed. We're talking about emotions that could be toxic. We're talking about emotions that you may perceive healthy but may not be healthy, because sometimes we perceive certain emotions as healthy when it's not healthy at all. Like, for an example, a person may say something like, oh, well, this man is married, but I feel like I like him. No, that's an unhealthy emotion. Come on now.
Yes.
I feel like I want to steal. That's an unhealthy. That's an unhealthy emotion. I feel like I want to eat this whole box of donuts to myself. That's an unhealthy emotion.
Sure is.
So I want to give out a few tips, so that you can have these tips to think about what to do in the moment. Also, what if somebody is saying something to you and you just feel like you want to just curse them out for no reason, right? That's an unhealthy emotion. I'm not saying that your emotions aren't real. Yes, they are real. Our feelings are very real. But we should have some level of self-control. And the Bible is the word temperance is used. We should have self-control. We should have self-control when it comes to just who we are, when it comes to eating, when it comes to anything that we do in our lives daily. So I'm going to give out these tips real quick. Number one is be slow to speak, because all of us have a tendency to say the wrong thing. We're human. We have human faults. And when we're slow to speak, then we have an opportunity to think about what we should appropriate in conversations. You will have an opportunity to think about, should I say that or should I not say that? So be slow to speak. Number two, know your own triggers. We all have triggers. And what I mean by that is, you know what gets on your nerve. You know what bothers you. You know what can literally push you to the edge. Know your triggers. Be honest about it. Don't deflect it and say, oh, they made me do this. No. Know your triggers. Number three, understand your own thinking. You are in your own head. Nobody else is there with you. You get to control what you think if you're paying attention. So understand your own thinking. And if you can't control it, like Rebecca said, ask God, but understand your own thinking. Number four, know what to appropriate in a conversation to avoid unwanted conflict. Because that goes right back to the one I said earlier about being slow to speak. So know what to appropriate in conversation to avoid unwanted conflict. The next one, separate yourself from unhealthy environments to control yourself. I'm the type of person, if something is going on and I feel like I'm experiencing some type of toxic energy or some type of unwanted feeling that is uncomfortable to me, what I do is I exit. I don't exit to be rude. What I do is I take a moment for myself to be alone. I take a moment to just kind of simmer down, and then when I'm ready to talk, then I come back. So separate yourself from unhealthy environments to control yourself. Some people get so angry, they just flip out. No, if you feel yourself getting angry, just take a moment to be alone.
That's right.
And separate yourself from unhealthy environments. The next one, stay focused to understand your own feelings. It's not about what somebody else is doing or how they made you feel. Understand your own feelings. And the last one, like Rebecca said, pray about how you feel always. That is so important, because if you pray about how you feel, what happens is you are expressing yourself to God, and then you will invite him in to help you to rise above those feelings, because God's grace enables us to be empowered to do the things we would not ordinarily know how to do.
Yes.
So pray about your feelings, because we all can do better, and we all can stop making excuses why we say what we say, do what we do. We can do better. You know, many years ago, I was in a situation where I was going through something in a relationship, and I told myself in that moment, because I didn't want to say the wrong thing, I literally told myself in that moment, I sat on the floor and I started talking to God. And I said, God, help me to manage what I'm feeling right now, because I was feeling overwhelmed.
Yes.
I was feeling overwhelmed in that moment, and feeling overwhelmed. I said, no, this is not what I told myself this. I said, this is not what I'm supposed to be feeling. I'm not supposed to be feeling overwhelmed about anything. And, because I'm the type of person, as the Bible says, cast your cares to God because he cares for you. I'm that person.
Yes.
I throw my hands up and say, God, take this. And when I say that, I'm not speaking in a religious way. I'm talking about a spiritual principle of giving your cares to God to the point where you're not worried and you just give it to God. So in that moment, I was overwhelmed. And so I asked God to help me to manage how I was feeling because I was feeling overwhelmed. And so as time moved on, I felt better and I felt light. I didn't feel those feelings anymore. So I shared that story just to encourage somebody to be reminded that you don't have to bask in toxic emotions. You don't have to bask in those emotions that make you feel bad. If you change how you think. And of course, like I said, if you pray. What do you think about that, Rebecca? Have you ever felt like that?
Yeah, actually. And I love these tips, especially, know your own triggers, and be slow to speak. You told a story, and I have to say that I went through something not too long ago, where I was just, downright just rejected, and I have to say this, when you're going through these tips, that SB just put out there, you also have to know your intentions, right? Mm-hmm. You said that. Mm-hmm. You said understand your own thinking. Mm-hmm. If you have good intentions and you do something from a good place in your heart, mm-hmm. and your intentions were for nothing but for love, mm-hmm. and consideration, and you just get downright rejected. This could come from a friend. This could come from a family member. Mm-hmm. This could come from anywhere. I remember feeling frozen. Like I was like, did this really happen? I'm like, did this really happen?
Wow.
And I'm saying never in my 54 years. Mm-hmm. Never, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And I felt my Latin, temper flaring up. And I was ready, right away we go and run to the phone and we start blasting it, right? I mean, no. Wait a minute. Mm-hmm. I'm hurt. What are you feeling, Rebecca? I feel hurt. I feel rejected.
Right.
I feel like I was minimized. I'm hurt right now. I'm hurt. Mm-hmm. And that's what I kept on telling myself. And then all of a sudden I said, you know what? I forgive that person. Mm-hmm. I forgive that person because my God was rejected too. He was rejected.
Right.
And he was perfect.
Right.
He was perfect. And if this rejection is manifesting right now, first of all, I know where it's coming from, mm-hmm. because sometimes it's not the person and it's not even flesh and blood.
Right.
But the point is that how did I respond? Well, God bless you. And then I continued a couple of sentences, mm-hmm. and I ended it like that. And I have to say I'm proud of myself. I am proud of myself because if I was at a different stage in my life, right. where I was less mature, I probably would have just, right? Got to defend myself, and you hurt me. So now, because you hurt me, I got to make sure I hurt you.
Right.
I got to make sure I hurt you. And how do we hurt? With words, and mm-hmm. now with social media, I mean, even with the phone call, I mean, we can do that. So I like how you said understand your own thinking, because you kind of begin to weigh and you put them in a balance,
Yeah.
And that's a great tip. And a trigger. I mean, I don't know if that's what you meant, SB.
Yeah, triggers.
And
maybe, triggers.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Triggers come from things that we've gone through in the past. Something that happened in the past that shows up in the present. It reminds us of something, and so it brings about feelings of something we've already gone through because of an emotion and something we've already gone through. It triggers us to have a response in the present based upon something we've gone through in the past. And so I said that because your emotions, I'm going to say it again, your emotions start according to how you think. If you think the right way about anything that you've gone through, whether it was in the past or even currently, if you think in a healthy way, if you think positively, if you think about it in accordance to seeing yourself getting through it, then you will have healthy emotions about it. And I know that some things do take time. I'm not saying that it will happen overnight, but if you practice managing your emotions according to how you think, then what will happen is you will see better actions. You will see better actions within yourself, and you will see that your words will be different. You will see that you're not just accepting how you feel and just going along to get along and doing anything any kind of way. Because a lot of us, we feel a certain way and we just accept it. You can acknowledge how you feel, acknowledge that it's happening, acknowledge that, okay, that's how you feel, but you don't have to stay there. When you acknowledge how you feel, you are basically bringing it to the forefront so that you can understand what is happening in the moment. But you don't have to stay there. Take a deep breath and just come out of it. And I say come out of it by how you think, because your thoughts play a great part according to what you allow to be in your presence. Our thoughts create spiritually. It creates energy. It creates, feelings. Our thoughts. If you sit down and think about how much you love somebody, all of a sudden you'll start feeling, I really love them.
That's right.
If you sit down and you think about, that goal you want to accomplish, you start thinking about it. Next thing you know, you start feeling like you already accomplished it. But on a negative part of what I'm saying, if you experience negative emotions, you have to manage it. You have to manage it. You have to manage how you think. You have to manage your feelings. Nobody's not going to do that for you. We have to do that. This is so good. You know why? Because we all need this. All of us. It's something that we have to practice day by day to understand what is happening with self. Because sometimes, some people look at the next person and say, well, they made me feel this way. They did this to me. Sometimes stuff could just be going on in your own mind and nobody did nothing to you because your thoughts had done, your thoughts done told you all kinds of stuff. Your thoughts is just running wild and nobody did nothing, but the thought life is running wild. And then all of a sudden, all those feelings. So the point of it all, like Rebecca said, and we're in agreement, the point of it all is this. Pray about how you feel. Whether it's rejection, whether it's hurt from a relationship, it could be feeling overwhelmed. It could be frustration. It could be anger. It could be all kinds of things. But this topic is to encourage you to take a moment to evaluate you and manage your emotions. Manage it. If you're going through something that's really difficult, just take it one day at a time. When my mother passed away, I had to take it one day at a time. I had to manage my grief. Come on, Rebecca, what you say? You know about it.
We have to manage our grief. We have to. And, I have to say this, you mentioned temperament, but I would like to also mention endurance.
Yes.
Sometimes we have to endure. We have to endure, that pain or endure feeling uncomfortable. Okay. And then what happens? You said it. You said, get out of it. And because I'm learning this, through my pastor, get out of it, but get over it.
Absolutely.
Get over it. Listen, you mentioned grief and you mentioned pain, and that's that. It's hard to just tell somebody, hey, get over it, get out of it, right? No, Wait a minute. It's a process.
It's a process.
When those emotions are crippling me and they are taking me hostage, like I said earlier, in a crucial time when I have to work or I have to care for someone, right? That's when I have to tell myself, Rebecca, you gotta put this to the side right now. You gotta organize your thoughts, organize your emotions, manage this, because this can't take control over you.
Exactly. We're going to wrap this up in a few, but I want to say this before we wrap it up. Somebody is probably thinking it's easier said than done, right? Somebody's probably thinking like that right now, because I sense that. And guess what? If you just take the steps to maintenance your thought life, you can manage your emotional life. If you take the steps to maintenance your thought life, you can manage your emotional life. And what I mean by that is, day by day, start practicing good thoughts. Practice good thoughts about the things you've gone through. Even though some things were not good, you still can practice good thoughts about yourself, about your family, about your job. You don't have to sit and complain in your mind. You don't have to sit and just stir up negative emotions. You can manage your emotions if you maintenance your thoughts. You know, we can go into so much concerning this topic, but we gotta wrap it up. So I just want to encourage somebody to really, really just be honest with yourself and tell yourself that you can do it. You can manage your emotions. You don't have to be this person that's out of control. You don't have to, because it doesn't benefit none of us to be out of control, because being out of control means you're in a place of absolute stress, and you don't want to be in a place of stress. You want to be in a place of peace.
Yes.
So that's all I have to say about that. And maybe we'll do a part 2, but do you have anything else you want to share?
No, I mean, the last thing I want to say is just remember, above everything, it's God's will for you and for me to prosper emotionally and healthy.
Yes.
Our health, our emotions, and if we don't know or we're struggling, have that conversation. I promise you, it won't go wrong.
No, it won't go wrong. And I'm going to give out those tips one more time. Number 1 is be slow to speak. Number 2 is know your triggers. Number 3 is understand your own thinking. Number 4 is know what to appropriate in a conversation to avoid unwanted conflict. Number 5, separate yourself from unhealthy environments to control yourself. Number 6, stay focused to understand your own feelings. Forget about what's going on with others. Know what's going on with you. And pray about how you feel always, because your feelings are valid to God. Your feelings are important to God. And most importantly, when you evaluate yourself, you're taking the time to love yourself, to be a better self. So do that, and you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong, because we are in a position to live a quality-filled life, because God said we can live a quality-filled life.
Yes, we can. Right? That's right.
We don't have to walk around miserable and all messed up. No. We don't have to be. It's a choice. It's a choice. Yeah. And that is why this podcast is here right now, because I have to share my life experiences and do the thing that God has allowed me to do, is to encourage you people, inspire you to understand that you don't have to settle for less. You can be your best. I don't care where you are. I don't care how much money you got in the bank, because
that's right.
Money can't buy peace. Money can't buy love. But guess what? You could be the best person you could be, because God loves you. So that's all I have to say. And Rebecca, thank you for taking the time to be with me today. I'm going to have you back again, because we got some topics to cover. And
yes, we do.
Let me tell you, people, some good things is about to happen with SB Favorite Thinking Podcast. And so just get ready. And so on that note, I want to remind you once again, if you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $SB Favor. Your donations and your support is so greatly appreciated. And so on that note, if you need to reach me, you can reach me at sbfavor@yahoo.com via email. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at sbfavor. I also have a TikTok handle. I am not dancing over there, but there is inspirational and motivational content over there. And guess what? Make sure you subscribe to me everywhere podcasts are heard. You can find me there. YouTube,
yes, subscribe. Yes.
YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google, Castbox. If you're not sure, just Google SB Favor. You will find SB Favor Thinking Podcast. Make sure you leave me some feedback on YouTube. Subscribe there too. And you know what? We're going to be doing videos soon, so get ready for that. But I thank you, listeners, for tuning in. And thank you so much. And you have a good day. And thank you again, Rebecca. Thank you again.
My pleasure. You take care.
All right, people. Have a good week. I will have more episodes coming up soon. Have a good day.